The Cipher Stalker, California, late 1960s. The fog rolled in from the Pacific, blanketing the winding roads of Vallejo in a ghostly haze. It was late, past midnight, and the Lovers Lane off Lake Herman Road was silent except for the faint hum of a car radio. Betty and David, parked in David's beat-up Chevy, were stealing a moment away from the world, their laughter muffled by the fog. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of eucalyptus and sea salt. They didn't notice the shadow lingering just beyond the reach of their headlights. Betty leaned closer to David, her hand resting on his. "You ever get the feeling someone's watching?" she whispered, half joking, her eyes scanning the darkness outside. David chuckled, brushing it off. "Just the stars, babe. Nobody's out here but us." But he was wrong. Someone was out there. Something was out there. The first sign was a flicker, a brief glint of light, like a lens catching the moon. Then came the sound, a low, deliberate crunch of gravel, too rhythmic to be the wind or an animal. David's smile faded. He rolled down the window, squinting into the fog. "Hello," he called. No answer, just the crunch, closer now, steady, like footsteps circling the car. Betty's grip tightened. "David, let's go now." Before he could turn the key, the passenger window exploded inward. Glass rained over Betty as a gloved hand reached through, impossibly fast, yanking her door open. She screamed, but the sound was cut short. David lunged to pull her back, but a sharp crack split the air, a gunshot, muffled by a silencer. He slumped over the wheel, blood pooling beneath him. Betty scrambled out, running blindly into the fog. Her heart pounded, her breath ragged as she stumbled through the dark. Behind her, the crunch of gravel followed, unhurried, relentless. She didn't see the figure, but she felt it, a presence, cold and methodical, like a predator savoring the chase. The killings started in the summer of '68, though no one connected the dots at first. Couples parked in secluded spots, out-of-the-way beaches or quiet roads, they vanished. Or their bodies were found, riddled with bullets or slashed with surgical precision. The police called them isolated incidents, blamed them on jealous lovers or drifters, but the whispers in Vallejo, Napa, and San Francisco told a different story. They spoke of a figure who came with the fog, a man or something like one cloaked in darkness, his face hidden behind a hood with strange, cryptic symbols stitched into it. He left no fingerprints, no clear tracks, only bodies and a trail of terror. The papers dubbed him the Cipher Stalker after the first letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle. It was written in a jagged scrawl, accompanied by a grid of symbols no one could crack. The letter taunted the police, promising more deaths, more puzzles. "You'll never know me," it read. "I am the shadow in your nightmares." The stalker didn't just kill, he played a game. Survivors, rare as they were, spoke of his voice, low and mechanical, as if filtered through something unnatural. He didn't scream or rage. He spoke calmly, reciting numbers or fragments of code, like a machine reciting a prayer. And his victims, they weren't just killed, they were erased, their lives reduced to ciphers, their stories rewritten by his blade. Betty tripped over a root, sprawling into the dirt. The fog was so thick she couldn't see her own hands. Her lungs burned, her dress torn from brambles. The crunch of gravel was closer now, deliberate, like a metronome counting down her life. She crawled behind a tree, biting her lip to stifle her sobs. Then she saw him. He emerged from the fog like a specter, tall and lean, his black hood gleaming faintly in the moonlight. The symbols on its circles, crosses, and strange geometric shapes seemed to pulse, as if alive. His face was invisible beneath the hood, but his eyes, they weren't eyes, they were voids, twin pools of darkness that seemed to pull at her soul. In his hand, he held a knife, its blade glinting with an unnatural sheen, as if it drank the light around it. Betty pressed herself against the tree, praying he hadn't seen her, but he stopped, tilting his head, as if listening to something only he could hear. Then he spoke, his voice a chilling monotone, each word precise, like a code being transmitted. "You can't hide, Betty, I see everything." She choked on a scream. How did he know her name? She hadn't told anyone, not even David, her real name. Tonight, she'd used a fake one, like always. Her mind raced, searching for an escape, but the fog seemed to tighten around her, suffocating, alive. The stalker stepped closer, his boots silent now, as if the earth itself refused to acknowledge him. "You're a mistake," he said, his voice almost gentle. "I fix mistakes. I write the truth." He raised the knife, and the symbols on his hood glowed faintly, like embers in the dark. Betty bolted, her legs pumping, her vision blurred with tears. She didn't know where she was running, only that she had to. The fog parted just enough to reveal a road, and she stumbled onto it, waving her arms at the faint glow of approaching headlights. "Help!" she screamed. "Please!" A car screeched to a stop, an older man leaning out. "What's wrong, girl?" he shouted, his voice thick with concern. "He's coming," Betty sobbed, climbing into the passenger seat. "Drive now." The man didn't hesitate, flooring the gas. The car roared down the road, the fog swallowing the world behind them. Betty glanced back, expecting to see the stalker, but there was nothing, just the endless grey. Her chest heaved, her hands trembling as she clutched the seat. "You're safe now," the man said, his voice oddly calm. "What happened back there?" Betty tried to speak, but her throat was raw. She looked at the man, his face half hidden in the dim light of the dashboard. He was older, maybe 50, with a kind smile, but something about his eyes made her stomach twist. They were too calm, too focused, and then she saw it, a faint glint in his jacket pocket. A knife, its handle etched with a single, familiar symbol, a circle with a cross through it. Her blood ran cold. She reached for the door handle, but it wouldn't budge. The man's smile widened, and his voice dropped to that same mechanical monotone. "You can't run from the truth, Betty." The next morning, Betty's body was found on the side of a rural road, her throat slit with surgical precision. Beside her, carved into the dirt, was a cipher, a grid of symbols, unreadable, mocking. The police added her to the growing list of victims, but they found no trace of the driver, no sign of the car. The Chronicle received another letter, the following week, filled with cryptic symbols and a single line: "The truth is written in blood." The Cipher Stalker became a legend, a ghost in the fog that haunted California's nights. Some said he was a madman, obsessed with codes and control. Others believed he was something else, a thing born from the shadows of the human mind, a predator that fed on fear and secrets. The ciphers kept coming, each one more complex, each one promising another death. Years later, long after the killings stopped, the fog still rolls into Vallejo on quiet nights. Locals swear they hear it, the crunch of gravel, the whisper of numbers in the dark. They say the stalker never left, that he's still out there, watching, waiting. If you drive down a lonely road and see a figure in the fog, don't stop. Don't look too closely at the symbols on his hood, because once he sees you, once he knows your name, you become part of his cipher, a mistake to be fixed, a truth to be written in blood.